Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Okay guys, I'm going to be seeing a video today. This is titled Dubrovnik Travel Guide. These are 10 best things to do in Dubrovnik. All right, I know I reacted to some footage about the war that happened. All right, this is all about Croatia. Okay, so Dubrovnik is in Croatia and this is a travel guide to it. I am really curious to see this travel guide in this video because someday I would love to visit Croatia, and some of this video is going to help a great deal, not just for me, but there are also people out there, tourists out there, who might end up watching this video. Okay, maybe they are looking for tips on how to find their way around Dubrovnik. All right, so without further ado, please subscribe to this channel. If you find it interesting, like, share, and comment on it. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into this.
What's up guys, we're Ian and Anna and we are so excited to share with you the top 10 things to do in Dubrovnik. Let's waste no time and jump right into number 10, walking the city walls. By far the most iconic symbol of Dubrovnik is the massive walls surrounding the entire Old Town. These 25-meter high walls were built more than 700 years ago, dating all
700
the
years
way back to the
ago.
Middle Ages. They're a huge reason the entirety of Dubrovnik's Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This wall is around 2 kilometers or 1 mile long and has the most amazing views overlooking Old Town, the Adriatic Sea, and even nearby Loram
Full of
Island.
history.
A lot of you are probably freaking out right now if you're a Game of Thrones fan because Dubrovnik was an important filming location during the series because it portrayed King's Landing, the capital of the Seven Kingdoms. Perhaps one of the most famous Game of Thrones scenes filmed here was on the Jesuit staircase where Cersei's Walk of Shame was in Season 5. If you are a huge Game of Thrones fan, you can go on a tour to see all the filming locations, and if you want the highest rated tour, you could scan this QR code
Quite
right here.
interesting.
It does cost 35 euros per person to walk the city walls, which is super expensive, especially because you only spend around an hour and a half up here. But you can't really do anything about it because it's definitely a must-do, so don't sweat the price too much. One huge tip though is to buy the Dubrovnik Pass online, which costs the same 35 euros per person, but includes way more, like public transportation and a lot of other museums
Quite
and attractions
expensive.
like the Lovrijenac Fortress, which is another major filming location for Game of Thrones. Buying this pass online also allows you to skip the long lines at the ticket office, so you can go right in without waiting. More than 1.2 million tourists walk this wall every single year, but if you want to beat the crowds, I highly suggest going right when it opens at 8 a.m. You definitely want to walk the walls by 10 a.m. at the latest, because after that, thousands of people come off the cruise ships at the same time and it will be absolutely packed. If you want a great sunrise tour of the city walls, you can scan this QR code right here for the best one. The view we got up on these walls was unbelievable, but definitely be ready for lots of stairs and lots of sweat. It's not the hardest walk in the world, but it's definitely a little more challenging than we thought, especially in the heat.
Hey.
Our favorite part of the walls were the endless views, especially being able to see the iconic orange roofs of Old Town contrasting with the Adriatic Sea. This is a perfect way to start your trip, and I definitely recommend a tour so you can learn the history and get a good layout of the area. Now let's move on to number 9, Loram Island.
This tiny island, only 600 meters away from Dubrovnik, is filled with wild roaming peacocks, botanical gardens, 12th century monastery ruins, and crystal clear water. To get to Loram Island, you will have to go to the Old Port in Dubrovnik and pay 27 euros per person for a round-trip ticket to Loram. The ferry opens at 9 a.m. and leaves every 30 minutes to an hour depending on the time of year. It only takes 10 minutes to reach the island. Also, if you're interested and want to rent the island for the day, it will cost a whopping 100,000 euros, just in case you were wondering. One of the first things you'll notice on the island is that there are no cars allowed, so the only way you can get around is by walking, but it's a super small island. You can walk across it in 30 minutes, so don't worry too much. By far our favorite part were the hundreds of colorful peacocks roaming freely. We even saw baby peacocks for the first time in our lives,
Oh,
and it was so cute. Fun fact, all male peacocks are the big and colorful ones, and the females are the brown and smaller ones. We heard from locals that this is where a lot of the peacocks come to get away from the crowds in Dubrovnik, and we can see why. Walking around with only the noise of birds through lush forests and botanical gardens was such a breath of fresh air. The weather started getting really windy and cloudy, but that did not stop Ian from going snorkeling. Even though it was bad weather, the water was still crystal clear here with tons of fish, so I could only imagine what it's like to come here on a sunny day. It's definitely amazing. Another thing we weren't expecting to stumble upon after walking around the monastery ruins was an exhibition of the Game of Thrones. They had a bunch of TVs playing episodes and showing the behind the scenes of how they filmed in Dubrovnik. Loram was even a filming location in the series, and a really cool thing they have there is a replica of the iconic Iron Throne that you can get pictures sitting in.
Oh.
We've never seen the show, so I didn't really know what I was looking at, but I know fans out there are going to absolutely love this. There are a lot of restaurants, hiking trails, and places to hang out by rocky beaches, so if you have the time, Loram Island will be one of the most relaxing parts of your trip. Let's move on to number 8, Ourots.
Now, if you didn't know this, Anna and I shipped our van from the US to Europe and have been traveling around here for over a year now. If you want to see our European road trip from the very beginning, you can click on this playlist right above. We have filmed over 30 videos in Europe helping you travel, especially if you're road tripping in a camper van, because we always share our campsites we stay at along the way. Truly, if it wasn't for van life, we would have never found this absolute gem only 20 minutes outside of Dubrovnik called Ourots. This is where we camped in our van for more than a week outside the city, and it will go down as one of our favorite campsites of all time. Don't get me wrong, this place will always be crowded, but that didn't bother us at all, especially because we were right on the Adriatic Sea. The Pebble Beach right below the campsite was one of our favorite beaches in all of Europe. There was hardly anyone ever there, the water was blue and crystal clear, and the surrounding landscapes were just stunning. There was even an amazing cliff jumping spot, and we got to bring our 3 little kittens down here in the mornings to play. Also, there's a great cafe across the street that we went to every single morning for coffee, and that was just the cherry on top. I'll make sure to link the campsite and beach down below this video, because if you're looking for a hidden beach away from the more crowded beaches around Dubrovnik, this is the spot to go. And if you're wondering how to get here from Oldtown, there is Uber in Dubrovnik, so that was super clutch to get to the surrounding areas. Cutting in real quick because I think every single one of you traveling to Europe wants to use your phone without getting charged those crazy international roaming fees. For example, Anna and I are from the US and our carrier charges us $10 per day to use our phone, which adds up really quickly. That's why I'm so excited to introduce the sponsor of this video, Airlo. Airlo is the world's first eSIM store that solves the pain of high roaming bills while you travel. Setting it up on your phone only takes 1 minute, and all you have to do is download the Airlo app and choose from over 200 countries. We're traveling in Croatia right now, so let's choose that option. We're also traveling a month here, so the 3 GB data package for 30 days is more than enough for texting, social media, Google Maps, and ride-sharing apps. For 30 days of data in Croatia, our carrier back home would have charged us over $100, but now with Airlo, we only spent $10 total. Make sure to scan this QR code right here, or click the link down in the description below to download the Airlo app, and from there, you can use the discount code Ian and Anna 3 to save an extra $3 on your travel eSIM. Now up next, we have number 7, St. Jacob's Beach.
One morning while we were staying at our hotel in Oldtown, we celebrated my 27th birthday. Our kittens loved the balloons so much, it was hilarious. All I wanted to do was head to a nearby beach for my birthday, and luckily only a 6-minute Uber ride down the road is one of Dubrovnik's best beaches. You'll get dropped off at St. Jacob's Church and walk down 160 stairs to reach this pebble beach. From here, you have a beautiful rocky backdrop with a spectacular...
This is really beautiful. Like, it's really beautiful to see this and to even imagine that this is actually a place where people actually live. People in Croatia, like, it's their normal life. They see these things like every blessed day of their lives, okay? But it's actually beautiful for us seeing it from the outside because we want to like experience it. We love the history behind it, okay? All right, so it's really beautiful, and I envy people who actually live here because it is really, really amazing, all right?
view of Oldtown and Loram Island. There's a fun beach bar and a restaurant, so this is a perfect place to spend half a day to go snorkeling and to relax. Even though the weather stunk for us once again, the water was still incredible, and yeah, I just can only imagine what it's like to come here on a sunny day. Now, on to number 6, walk around Oldtown.
Dubrovnik's Oldtown became a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it's one of the world's most perfectly preserved medieval cities. The amount of churches, monasteries, and palaces that are in perfect condition is truly astonishing. Not to mention, this tiny old town has been through some turbulent times like the 1667 earthquake and the 1991 bombings during the Yugoslavian War. Walking through these narrow marble streets really felt like a movie. Like, I'm not kidding, it takes you back in time, and it's truly the most impressive old town we have ever been to. Best part is, this old town will only take you 10 minutes to walk from one end to the other. This can also be a very bad thing because with such a small old town and all of these crowds, it can feel claustrophobic really fast. Anna and I had the absolute privilege to stay at one of the only hotels in Old Town for 3 nights, and this made all the difference. We were able to wake up inside the city walls every morning and take a stroll down the main street and through these narrow alleyways all by ourselves. By 9 a.m., tour groups start pouring into the city, so I highly recommend waking up for sunrise one morning and walking around this magical place. Even better than walking around the Old Town during the morning is walking around at night because Dubrovnik has been voted one of the most romantic cities in the world, right up there with Paris and Venice. Nighttime in the Old Town was so romantic with lanterns lighting up the cobblestone streets where you could eat the best food in the world. Dubrovnik will be a place Anna and I will return to many times throughout our life. We just loved it that much. Next up is number 5, a day trip to Montenegro or Bosnia.
One of the best things about Dubrovnik is its location in Europe. It's right across from Italy on the Adriatic Sea and is a part of the Balkans, which has some of our favorite countries to visit in Europe, especially Serbia and Slovenia. If you didn't know this, my dad is from Serbia, and we even rescued our 3 kittens from there. It's a country that is so underrated with some of the best food and people in the world, just like Croatia. We do have some awesome videos on Serbia, so be sure to check those out in the playlist above if you're interested. And another thing that you might not know is that this region used to all be one country called Yugoslavia. So what I love about visiting this region is just the common similarities, especially the same language. If you end up learning a couple of words, you can use those words throughout all those countries. And if you are spending a good amount of time in Dubrovnik, one cool thing you can do is take a trip to nearby Montenegro or Bosnia and Herzegovina. If you choose to visit Montenegro, these day tours will bring you 2 hours away to the iconic city of Kotor, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with another stunning old town. You'll be blown away by the surrounding landscapes because this city is surrounded by massive mountains and a gorgeous lake. You can scan this QR code for the highest rated day tour to Montenegro. The other country you can take a day tour to is Bosnia and Herzegovina, where you can visit massive cascading waterfalls and the historic old town of Mostar. The best attraction to see here is the old bridge, where you can watch daredevils jump into the river below. I can't believe we haven't been to Montenegro yet, but I have heard nothing but wonderful things about it. And as for Bosnia, we just drove through it to get to Croatia, and we were seriously so impressed by its mountainous landscape. I cannot wait to explore more of this region, and I hope you get the chance to as well. Now let's move on to number 4, staying in Old Town.
There's one thing that made our experience in Dubrovnik 10 times better, and that was staying at a hotel within the city walls. We had the absolute privilege of staying at Starigrad Boutique Hotel for 3 nights, and it was just unbelievable. Not only is this hotel in the heart of Old Town, but they also allowed us to bring our 3 little kittens and even had the only rooftop restaurant in Dubrovnik. Every morning we would wake up and go right upstairs to the rooftop at the Above 5 restaurant. I mean, you can't beat these 360-degree views of Old Town, especially being surrounded by all these orange roofs early in the morning. To be honest, we may have liked it more than the city walls because there are no crowds or walking involved. Although breakfast up here is only for guests, you can reserve a reservation for lunch or dinner, which I highly recommend because it's been recognized by the Michelin Guide since 2018 for its delicious food. We even ended up meeting Anna, which owns Starigrad, alongside her husband, and she was just so kind, telling us all about the history of the building and even played with our kittens for a little bit. Interestingly enough, Anna and her husband also own a place in Old Town called Holy Burek, which is hands down the most delicious pastry you will have in your life. I mean, they are seriously so addicting. This place serves one thing, and that is burek, which is a famous Balkan pastry that has many different kinds of fillings, like cheese,
Nice.
leeks, spinach, veal, and our favorite, chicken. We ended up having these once or twice a day because it's a perfect quick snack in between all that walking around. This city does have expensive food, so for those of you on a tight budget, this burek is really a lifesaver because they are only around €5 each and they will fill you up. Crazy story behind Holy Burek is that Anna's husband actually went all the way to Albania and learned this recipe from a grandmother there. He even ended up bringing her all the way back to Dubrovnik for a couple months to train the team here, which is just amazing. If you want to stay at Starigrad, I will make sure to link their website down in the description below for you guys. Our kittens definitely miss you and your entire family, Anna. Thanks once again, and we cannot wait to come back one day. Up next, we have number 3, the food.
We weren't expecting it, but the food in Dubrovnik really blew us away. By far the best restaurant we went to is called Gradska Kavana Arsenal, which is located right at the Old Port. We came here for my birthday dinner, and the views you get from this place are spectacular. It was so romantic looking at the boats cruising by the city walls. For our starter, we had beef carpaccio and marinated zucchini. Oh my gosh, the marinated zucchini was shockingly good. Ian got the rack of lamb and I had slow-cooked beef, although I did just look at the menu and it seems like they've updated some meals, so I don't know what you'll have there, but I know it will be amazing because this was definitely the best meal we had in Dubrovnik, and with these views that accompany it, it's a 10 out of 10 must try. Another thing we did in Dubrovnik was go on a food tour throughout Oldtown. We're so glad we did this at the beginning of our trip because our local tour guide showed us all the best restaurants and hidden gems so we could enjoy them the rest of our time. The biggest standout dish, in my opinion, was the Sporky Makaruli from Lucin Canton. Sporky Makaruli is one of Dubrovnik's most iconic dishes. It's a macaroni-styled pasta with beef stew. Then we went to another delicious restaurant called Bistro Tavulin. Here we had the local dish of creamy barley with Adriatic shrimp. It was super tasty. We also had some wine and a cheese board, making us very full before our next stop, which was, of course, gelato.
Oh.
This was the perfect way to end the food tour. Who doesn't love gelato? Also, while we're on the topic, our favorite gelateria in the area was Peppino's Gelato Garden. It was recommended to us by a local and had to be the creamiest gelato I've ever had. We really had so much food and wine. If you want to go on the same one as us, you can scan the QR code right here. Up next is number 2, Elefiti Islands.
Only a quick boat ride away from Dubrovnik are the Elefiti Islands, a group of 13 islands of which only 3 are inhabited. We took a 4-hour private boat tour to these islands, but if you want to do party boats or even a shared boat, there are tons of options to choose from. Right as we arrived, our captain welcomed us in Balkan style with a bunch of local beer and wine as we set off towards the islands. It was super refreshing getting away from the crowds, and even better, our captain knew all these secret spots to swim into caves and even go cliff jumping at. What blew me away, though, was the water clarity around these islands. It felt like we were swimming in a pool. Before coming to Dubrovnik, I had no idea these islands
This
existed,
is
but
really
I am so glad we
beautiful.
went because the coastline and water here definitely reminded us of Greece. Fun fact, the first Mamma Mia was filmed in Greece, but the second movie was filmed on an island in Croatia, so that just shows how similar these countries are. The most beautiful island we visited during this tour was called Lopud, and the first thing that caught our attention was this 15th century monastery sitting right at the edge of the island. This monastery was actually transformed into a villa where tons of famous people have stayed at, like David Beckham and Owen Wilson. Our captain told us that it's around 10,000 euros a night to stay here, which didn't sound terrible because, wow, this place was epic. Another great thing about this island is that it had sandy beaches, which you just can't find around Dubrovnik. It's also car-free, so it was really relaxing walking along the coast, exploring the botanical gardens, and of course, finishing our time with some gelato. Now on to number 1, cliff jumping at the Buja Bar.
Cliff jumping from Buja Bar is the perfect activity for adventure seekers. It's easily accessible and it's located on the edge of the city walls. There are actually two locations, the main bar and then the small bar. Both of these bars are free to enter, and you don't have to buy a drink to jump from the rocks. But if you're like us, you'll grab a drink and stay a while to enjoy the sunset and, of course, have the time of your life. First, we went to the small Buja bar, which is much less crowded, and the ambiance is a lot more relaxed. My favorite part was the entrance. It feels like you're in a top secret tunnel, and then it opens up to a view of the beautiful Adriatic Sea. They have tables you can relax at and grab a drink. People come to this bar for more leisurely swimming, but if you want to get some major height for jumping, you'll want to head to the main Buja bar. The cliff jump here is 8 to 10 meters high or 26 to 33 feet. It all depends on the tide level when you're jumping, but nonetheless, it's insanely fun. We spent about 2 hours here having drinks, jumping, and watching some impressive people dive off as well. This was definitely a more lively bar compared to the smaller bar, and the people there totally bring the energy. We saw a couple groups of friends with speakers, having drinks, and taking turns jumping. I think of the two, main Buja bar is definitely my favorite, and this, of course, was our favorite thing to do in Dubrovnik.
This is really an amazing video. It is well detailed, well informative. Like if you're planning on going to Dubrovnik, this video is really going to help a great deal. All right, like lots of information in here. Okay, shout out to Ian and Anna for this amazing and beautiful video. Okay, Croatia, particularly Dubrovnik, is actually a very beautiful place to tour. Okay, lots of historical buildings, old houses. Like you see things and they actually tell you the story even before anyone tries to explain it for you. Okay, this is an amazing top 10 list of the things that you can actually do in Dubrovnik. Okay, please share your thoughts and your opinion. What do you think about Dubrovnik? Do you think it's actually a place that you can actually visit? Can you have this in your bucket list? Okay, because personally for me, this is really beautiful. And if I visit Croatia anytime, I'm not just going to visit Dubrovnik. I'm really going to visit like the entire places because I really would love to tour. So I'm really going to relax, prepare myself, get all the money that I need because I'm really going to be staying for a while. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for recommending. See you guys on my next one. Bye.